Are you ready to finish section 3 on red, white, and bloom? Well, let's do that today. Hey everyone, Cristin Som here, and we're going to finish section 3 today. How exciting is that? So we have 1 and 2 already all together, and then we have a whole ton of blocks, like so many blocks. I have loved seeing your Life is Sweet blocks. That's so exciting. You guys did such a good job on those dimensional lemons. Very fun. And then we have a whole bunch of others. And so we actually only need 1 official embroidery block for section 3, and then just a couple of filler blocks, not too many. They are big though, so I'm not sure what we'll be able to fit in 1 hooping. It might take 2, but that's fine too. So we'll figure that out after. But let's talk about what we need for today. So we are going to work on the red, white, and bloom block. That is on page 15 of our book, and there's almost nothing in it. It's very little, so it should be a very simple block. So we'll also add in the filler blocks, and that will make it so that we can finish up section 3 today. All right, so let me just grab my stuff out of my packet here. This one is sticking in there. Okay, so the red, white, and bloom block is on page 15, and we're going to start with our main fabric. Our main fabric is this yellow swirly fabric. I think it goes this way. Yep, this way. So this one we're going to start with at 8.5 by 6.5 for our main fabric. Make sure to back this with Fusible stabilizer. It's very important on these bigger blocks. Really, on any of the background blocks, I definitely recommend it. So 8.5 by 6.5, the yellow swirly fabric, that's for our main background fabric, or our main fabric. All right, and then we just have 1 simple applique piece, just 1. It is the tan lattice fabric, and I did back mine with Fusible stabilizer. That's up to you. And this one we're going to start with at 2.5 by 2.5, 2.5 by 2.5 for our 1 applique piece. How easy is that? My goodness. So this one does have some embroidery. It's got some words. Whenever there's wording, my recommendation, and your quilt your way. Sorry, I kicked my light here. Oops, I did it again. Sorry. Anyway, when there is wording on an embroidery design, especially Kimberbell does a light wording. It's sometimes the Life is Sweet was really thick actually. That worked out nicely. So I saw some people did a white quilting background and it looked really good. I always worry when there's wording that you don't want to take away from the wording, and that's what I was going to mention here on this red, white, and bloom block. There is wording, and it is a very thin wording. So just keep that in mind when you decide your background quilting thread color. I like to do one that kind of merges in with the background fabric so that it doesn't stand out so much that you can't read the words. That's my only recommendation. And again, your quilt your way, however you want, but that's my one little tip, is just keep in mind when there's words. So red, white, and bloom, our batting, since we're going to quilt this, our batting is going to be 7 by 5 for our batting. So that means our cut size will be 4.5 by 6.5, which I'll tell you about later. You don't need to worry about that right now. But we are going to use chain link 1 for our quilting. And my hard drive failed. So I'm having to re-download all of my purchases from Kimberbell and all my other places. So I just want to point out, so don't make the same mistake I did. I used a service called Carbonite for a bunch of years, and that worked really well. It was expensive, and I didn't have any problems with my hard drive. And so I made a switch and I bought Dropbox. I spent a lot, like $129 for a large Dropbox. And it was an automated thing too, that you plug in your, or preferably if you have your files on your hard drive, it will just download them as a backup. And you always want to have a backup. Really important to have a backup. Some people use USB drives, some people use an external hard drive, some people use a service like a cloud service that's like Carbonite. But Dropbox, it turned out, and I don't fully understand it, but they do have a backup. But if you're backing up from an external drive, which is what I use because my hard drive wasn't large enough to hold all my embroidery designs, so I bought an external drive, and I had Dropbox backing up from my external drive. And my hard drive, my external hard drive, crashed. And so right now I have no access to any of my files, and that backup, it was slowing down my computer so much because it was from an external hard drive that it did not work right. And so anyway, I'm going to take my external hard drive to a company and see if maybe they can get my files off. But I just want to point this out. Just make sure you have a backup of your files. Make sure that you're doing it in a way that you can get them back if something happens, because sometimes bad things happen. You know, my external hard drive worked great for a bunch of years, and now it won't let me access it. So just my little tidbit, be careful of your files. So anyway, so that chain link one, I'm gonna have to re-download from Kimberbell, and it's so nice that Kimberbell and other embroidery companies make it so that we can, as long as we remember where we got that design, then you can re-download them in most cases. But don't rely on that either, because a lot of companies have gone out of business. Like the Itch to Stitch was bought out by Designs by Juju. There's been a few that have gone out, and so don't rely on the fact that, oh, they've got them on their servers, because they may not. So just my little tidbit, back up your files, make sure that you know how you're backing them up and you have access to them. So chain link 1, that's what made me think of this, because I'm going to have to re-download it. So chain link 1 we are going to use in a 4x6 quilting design. Chain link 1 in 4x6, that's our quilting for today. You can use any 4x6 quilting design, but that's the official one for the red, white, and bloom quilt. So I'm going to use that, and along with our batting. All right, and so very, very easy. This is going to be an easy block. It's really just a bunch of embroidery. There's that one applique piece. It's going to be an easy day. And then we will do our filler blocks. So let me grab that real quick. All right, so since we have that really easy, sweet, what is it called? Red, white, and bloom block, we're going to do the filler blocks today too, and then we'll be able to finish up all of section 3. So section 3 fillers, the filler blocks are listed on page 32. There's also a batting and filler block guide that I made for this project, and my recommendation is to cut the filler blocks a 1/2 inch larger, and so they end up being the same size as the batting, and the only purpose to that is so that it will tack down when we do our placement and tack down stitches that are in the quilting design. It just makes it so that you're not taping it, you're not having to worry about moving it, and it helps with cutting it when it's done as well. But if you did them the original size that's listed in the book, that works out fine too, don't worry. All right, so real quick, we're going to go over the filler blocks. Like I said, you can see them on page 32 in the section 3, and I have them listed here. So the first one, they're not actually listed by number, but I've got them in an order that they come up in. So anyway, the first one is this pretty firework fabric. And this one, I have it at, let's see, 5x5 is what I have it as. I have it listed by quilting design, so I have to think about that. So 5x5 is what I recommend for the fabric. So that means that in the guide, it probably has 4.5 by 4.5. But also your batting, same thing, 5x5. It's not attached. I just have them together. So 5x5 on your batting and on your main fabric for this first of our filler block. All right, and our quilting design for this first one, this is the 4x4. It's a 5x5 fabric, or 4.5 by 4.5 as listed in the book, but the quilting design is going to be 4x4. And the one we're using for this is Patriotic 2. Patriotic 2 quilting design in a 4x4. That's for our first border block. All right, and then the second border block is this red cherries fabric. And we're going to have this one be, let's see, it's a 2x4 quilting design, so that means 3x5 for our fabric, or if you have it as listed in the book, it would be 2.5 by 4.5. Either way, and like I said, yours would just already be done. The reason for having it a 1/2 inch larger, if you can, is just so that it won't be pulled in by the stitches and make it a little bit smaller. It will be all accurate. Also, if you're backing your filler blocks with stabilizer, like I recommend Fusible stabilizer, the Kimberbell backing, that's going to help it to not pull in and change the size of the block as well. So on this one, we're going to have it be 3x5 for the fabric and the batting, or 2.5 by 4.5 on the fabric if you're using from the guide, like if you pre-cut before the prep video for red, white, and blue bloom, and then you still want your batting to be 3x5 for your filler block 2. And on this one, we are going to use geometric 1 for our quilting design in a 2x4. Geometric 1 in a 2x4. That's a whole lot of numbers, huh? All right, and then for the third one, which is the last one, we are going to have this blue plaid. And like I said, I backed mine with Fusible stabilizer, and we're going to start with this one at 3x7 if you can. If you already cut before the prep video, then you're probably at 2.5 by 6.5, and that's fine. And this one we are going to use 2x6 quilting design in wavy 1 in vertical. There's going to be a vertical and a horizontal on this one, so make sure to choose the vertical. So it's the 2x6. It's really 6x2 because it's going to lay this way, but the quilting design is 2x6, wavy 1 in vertical. And like I said, the fabric 3x7 if you can, 2.5 by 6.5 will work as well. And that's it. We have these 3 border blocks, the 1 red, white, and bloom block, and so very easy. I'm going to bring you over to the computer to see what we can merge together. They're pretty big blocks, so I'm not absolutely sure. We should be able to fit them all in one hooping, but I'm not absolutely sure. So let's go ahead and go over there and see what we can do. Hey everyone, so I'm at my computer now and I have my microphone. Hopefully you can hear me well. So we are going to open up Embellishment Essentials. That's the embroidery software that I use. These techniques should transfer over to whatever embroidery software you're using, or if you're using your machine, you absolutely can move these designs on your machine and import the quilting design and the embroidery design together, whatever works for you. So I'm on Embellishment Essentials. I can see down here at the bottom that it says I'm on my 5x7 hoop. That's because I was working on my Swaddle Sweeties doll. So I'm going to go up here to this preferences folder, and I'm going to choose my biggest hoop for my smaller machine. My other machine is at the shop. I actually get to pick it up today. I'm excited. So if it won't fit in my 9x14 hoop, I can actually use my 10x16 hopefully this afternoon. So it's funny, it doesn't look like there's a hoop on here, but that's just because it's zoomed in so far. So let me just show you. If I use my mouse button, I can zoom in and out of my hoop. If that doesn't work for you, because I think it's up in preferences that you set that up, but if that doesn't work, you can always hit your compass button and hit this H button and it will zoom into the hoop that way. All right, so you just want to make sure that you can see all the sides so that you know that you're not going over the hoop. So I'm going to start with our biggest one, which is the red, white, and bloom. And we always bring in the quilting design first. And there's been some questions. I know there's a lot of newbies working on these projects, so I try to always point out all of the information. But the quilting is those 5 steps: the placement and tack down of the batting, and the placement and tack down of the main fabric, and then the actual quilting design. That is just the quilting design. The embroidery design is, like for this instance, it's going to be the red, white, and bloom block, and there's no quilting that comes with that. That's why we bring in the quilting design first, and then we bring in the red, white, and bloom embroidery design. Okay, so I'm going to go here to merge stitch file, and I'm going to bring in the quilting design. I just re-downloaded it because, like I mentioned, my hard drive failed. So I'm going to, let's see, it's on my desktop, and we're looking for chain link 1. Right there, chain link 1, and it's just right now it's just asking where is this file that you want me to open, and I have it on my desktop. So I'm going to click these plus signs to open up the file. Embroidery files, Pez is what I use for my machine, and we are looking for the 4x6 on this one. Like I said, we're starting with the red, white, and bloom block. So 4x6 chain link 1 right there. Double click on that and it will go to the center, and I'm going to actually rotate it because the design is going to be rotated for the embroidery design, and we want to utilize as much room of this hoop as we can just to see what we can fit in one hooping. And like I said, I'm on my 9x14 hoop. You can see it down here. So if you click on the design, you can see that you have to click on the design. If you click in an open area, it doesn't do it. It has to be actually on the stitching. And then you'll see it highlights all 5 parts of the quilting design. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this rotate button. There's rotate left or right. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm doing rotate left. And then if you try and click the arrows on your keyboard, it won't work while we've rotated it. You have to click outside in the workspace and then click back on the design, and then you can use your arrow keys to move it up. And all this does is it keeps it right in the center, which for now I do want to do that, but maybe not later. I haven't decided quite yet. We'll have to see what will fit in our hooping. All right, so that is the first part. That is the quilting design for that. And actually, that's all I'm going to do right now, because I'd like to do all of the quilting parts together so that we can trim our batting and do all of that together. So I'm going to leave this. I am going to go ahead and change these designs. Might as well do it now. It won't hurt. So I clicked outside, so inside of this box anywhere or in your workspace, whatever, so that I can just click on one part, because before all 5 were selected. So I'm clicking on 1, and then I'm going to click down here in this properties tab. If your properties tab is ever missing, because sometimes it will, like I'll close it so that you can see it goes away. You can go into this window button here, not window, let me see, view, sorry about that, in the view tab. And then if you go to toolbars, see the properties window is not selected, so you can reselect it there. If it's ever missing, it will do that now and then, depending on what you're working on. So really easy to get it back. All right, so I'm on 1. You can see it's selected there, and then I'm going to click on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is dark aqua. I'm going to do that. It doesn't matter what color you choose, as long as you're using the same colors for all of the quilting designs that we're going to do, so that we can do a color sort later. So that's on 1. Now I'm going to click on 1, click on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is Blaze, and I'm going to say okay. And then 1-3, click on the color, and we already used dark aqua, so I'm going to go down to the second color, which is marine. For me, again, it depends on your preferred thread. So I'm on 1-4, click on the color, and you can see your preferred thread here. Filtech Glide is what I use, and that's why the colors come up for me in that way. So we already used Blaze. I'm going to choose Oriole and say okay. And then I am going to change the thread colors on each of these, because they are different. This first one is a yellow block, and then after that we've got a white block and a red block and a blue block. So I'm going to just make them all different so that I can decide when I get there. So I'm going to click on 1-5 and click on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is Sprout. And again, it doesn't matter the color, it's just so that we can do a color sort later. All right, so those are all done. Click outside of the workspace. You can do it on here or on here. It doesn't matter. Click outside so that that is not selected anymore. And then we're going to start bringing in the other quilting designs. And we do need to remember to bring in the embroidery design for that red, white, and bloom block. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the quilting. So that first one is done for the quilting. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Merge Stitch File. And the next one, that 4x4 quilting design, is going to be Patriotic 2. I'm going to close this. I believe I have that in my red, white, and bloom folder. Quilting designs, Patriotic 2 right there. And then Kimberbell quilting, embroidery files, block by block is the technique we're using. And I use Pez for my machine. And we are looking for a 4x4. So I'm going to scroll down. There's the 4x4. 4x4 Patriotic 2 is what we're using today. So I'm going to double click on that. It goes to the center. I think I'm going to leave that in the center for a moment. We actually will need some space here, because this one, all of our filler blocks only have a 1/2 inch extra fabric. But this one will have 2 inches extra fabric. So there will be overlay here, overlap, and I don't want that. And so I will probably move that, but for right now I'm going to leave it just so that I know what will fit where. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and do the same color selections that I did on here. I'm going to open up this plus sign. It will open up those 5, and you can see all those default blues and oranges, and those would join together if we don't change the colors. That's why we quickly go through and just change the colors. So I'm going to do it real quick the same way that we did it up here. So I'm on 2-1, click on the color, click on dark aqua, say okay. 2, click on the color. First color that comes up is Blaze, and make sure it's the same color you used here, whatever it was here, and you can always see them right up here. So 2, 3, click on the color, and then the second one down is Marine, and 2, 4, click on the color, and the second one down is Oriole, and Turquoise. 2, 5, we're going to change that to Sea Green, or whatever your second color is, and those were done, and that took a few seconds, right? Pretty quick and easy. I'm going to go ahead and close these just so I have more room so I can see the more that I'm bringing in. Click outside on the workspace so that nothing is selected, and I'm going to bring in the next one. So I'm going to this Merge Stitch File button. I'm going to close out this Red, White, and Bloom folder, and the next one, let's see, is, that was our 4x4. We're going to do the 2x4 in Geometric 1 is the next one. So I just downloaded that again from Kimberbell. All right, so I realized that I didn't unzip it after I downloaded it. So I want to just point that out real quick. You do have to unzip the folder before Embrilliance will recognize it. So I'm going to, I just double clicked on it. I'm on a PC, it could be different for a Mac, but I double clicked on it. I'm going to click Extract All, say Extract, and then it will save it to my desktop because that's what I have set up as my preference. Yours might go to a download folder. I'm just closing out these folders. The one that is zipped, this one right here, I can delete this because I've already unzipped it right here. All right, so once it's unzipped, then you can utilize it. I'm going to go in here and just, I like to delete all these folders that I don't use just to clear up some space on my hard drive. And I just save the Pez ones. That's totally optional how you do that. I just highlighted them and deleted them. So I'm going to go back to Embrilliance, and now when I click Merge Stitch File and look on my desktop, I'll be able to find it because it didn't show it before because it was zipped. It does show zipped folders down here, but that's not what I was looking for because I didn't realize I hadn't unzipped it. All right, so Geometric 1, click on that folder to open them, Embroidery Files, Pez, and then for this one, we're looking for a 2x4. Oh, isn't that so pretty? I love that. Oops, right there. So Geometric, how cute is that? 2x4 Geometric 1. I love this one. All right, it goes to the center, which means it went right on top of our other one. And it doesn't look like it's selected. Let's see. Yeah, it's not. So if I click on it over here in the workspace, or you can do it over on, I did it over here in this window, but you could do it in the workspace, but you want to make sure that you're only selecting that geometric design, and then you can use your arrow keys to move it down, or you can just grab it and pull it, whatever's going to work for you. Actually, I think we should have this up here because our next one is a 2x6. We'll probably have to move these around. I'm going to go ahead and just move it here for now, and then just like before, we need to change these colors so that we can have them join. So I'm going to click on 3-1, click on the color, dark aqua, say okay. 3-2, click on the color, blaze, say okay. 3-3, click on the color and the second color down, marine, and then 3-4, click on the color, second color down is Oriole. And then on 3-5, now remember, we have to remember what we already used. We used Sprout and Sea Green, so I'm using the third color down, which is Mint. All right, and that one's done. Nice and easy. And then we just have one more. And then, like I said, we'll probably have to move them around a little bit. I think that having these two down here and the 2x6 up here would probably be the easiest, but let's just see. That would give us some more room too, I think. So I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File, and I'm going to close up this geometric, and now we are looking for Wavy 1. Let's see, I just downloaded that one right there. Wavy 1, click on the plus sign to open up those folders, embroidery files. I use Pez, and then we're looking for a 2x6 in vertical. Let's see down here. 2x6 wavy 1 horizontal, 2x6 wavy 1 vertical. So right here, see how they're different? This one, the waves are going horizontally, and this one they're going vertically, which will work well for our long 2x6 fabric, which actually is 3x7. All right, so I'm going to double click on this 2x6 wavy 1, click on the design so that we can move it. And I'm going to just bring it, oops, see, that's why I was saying it's better to click on this the window versus the design, because you may not click on the right one. So I just clicked outside of the the workspace, and I'm going to click on the window, the 2x6, and I'm going to just, from there, I should be able to bring it down without a problem. All right, so I am going to rotate it while I have it selected, and it doesn't matter which way. I'm going to click the right way this time, and I'm going to actually bring this up here, and then I'm going to click on the 4x4 and click on the design or the stitching and bring it down. And then this one we can move down so that we've got some space. Because like I said, this one we're going to have extra fabric. These we will not. It's just a 1/2 inch, so we don't need to worry about these nearly as much. So I'm going to bring this down just to give this a little bit of room so that there's not overlap. And that fits extremely well. So like I said, I'm in a 9x14 hoop. And this fits extremely well. So while we're here, don't forget, we need to change these colors. We've got all these default blues and oranges on this last one we just imported. So I'm going to click on 4-1. If you click on all of them, like I did, so if I click here, you can see all of them are selected, and then you won't be able to make the changes. If you were to click on default 1, it thinks that you're trying to change the name of the thread color. So that's why you have to click outside of the workspace, and you can do it on the workspace or you can do it in the window, but you want to click outside to be able to click on one. It just makes it so that then they're not selected. All right, so 4-1, click on the color, and we want dark aqua, the first color. 4-2, click on the color, and the first color for me is blaze. And then 4-3, click on the color. We want the second color down, which for me was marine. And then 4-4, click on the color, second color down for me is Oriole. And now we want the fourth one. You can tell we're on the fourth design. All right, we've got 4 designs imported here. See the 4 designs. So if I click on the color, I know I want the fourth one down, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Magic Mint is the color that I'm using for. It's not the actual thread color I'm going to use. It's just the color to be able to color sort. All right, and then once we have all of those done, I'm going to go ahead and bring in. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to do our color sort now, because if we do it when we bring in that red, white, and bloom block, there will very likely be some defaults in there, and maybe colors that we've already used. So these are the only ones that we actually want to join. The red, white, and bloom we will not need to join because it's just the one embroidery design. So I'm going to go ahead and do it now. So I want to point out, if you're following along and you're doing it like me, make sure now that you have your blocks in the position that you want, because once you do a color sort, you will not be able to move them. It's very, very important. Make sure that this isn't over your hoop, that nothing is over the hoop down here, that they're all lined up in the way that you want them, so that you won't have to try and figure out how to do it later. You could, because you would have to go back to the original tab, but it's easiest to just make sure that this is the design that you want. If you were doing a piece project, I mentioned this in the recent piece projects that we did, then you would want this moved down so that there's extra room, but we won't need to worry about that right now. So one thing we will need to worry about that I didn't think about until just now is that we are going to need to line up that red, white, and bloom block with that first quilting, and you won't be able to do a join or align and distribute with that once they're all color sorted. So let me think about this. You could do it right now and then have that red, white, and bloom, and I'm going to just bring it in so I can see it. So if I go to merge stitch file, you can just watch at this point. You don't necessarily have to bring yours in. I'm just wondering what defaults there are. It may be that we don't need to worry about it. So let me just see. If I go to red, white, and bloom, embroidery files, Pez, and then the red, white, and bloom quilt, we're looking for the red, white, and bloom design, which I assume is a 5x7. Should be down here. There it is right there. All right, I'm going to double click on that. It goes to the center. Excuse me. I'm going to click on that. And then, so see, I just wanted to see all these defaults. If there's anything that we've already used, or if there's multiple of the same defaults, which there shouldn't be because there's only one applique. So we've got avocado, blue, orange, caramel, white, Jubilee, white, white again. So these default 12 whites would very likely join. That would be a problem. And the default 5 Jubilee. So that's why I was saying it's better if we get it right, if we bring that one in after. So let me just see. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to rotate it, and I want to see how hard it will be to center it. It's not going to be the easiest thing to center. I mean, it's definitely doable, but it's not super easy. So I'm going to do, let's see here. I'm going to change the colors so that I can show you how to align and distribute it to make it match up with. There's nothing to make it easily line up. So I think I will want to do the align and distribute. So all we have to do is change out anything that's going to be the same. So this candy apple, all these ones that have the same, those will join. And that's totally fine if you're not doing a color sort. But since we're color sorting, you would have to change all of these colors. So let me look again, see here. Oh, I know what we could do. Oops, clicked elsewhere. I have a good idea. I have a very good idea. All right, so we've done this before. So I'm going to show you a quick, easy way, and we don't have to change all of these colors. So let's see here. If I have this, not that one, sorry, I'm clicking that one. So if click on number 5, which is the embroidery design. You don't have to line it up just right. You can have it off to the side. It's not going to matter. I'm going to show you. So if we click on 1 and then click the control button on your keyboard and click on 5, and then we do an align and distribute. We've done this before. You go to utility, align and distribute, and we're going to say center, center, and make sure that you only have 1 and 5 selected so that it's just aligning those. So I'm going to say apply, and you can see it went right to the center there. It also brought it down just a bit. So I can move them both up while they're both selected. I can move it back up just to give me a little bit of room for our extra fabrics. All right, and that will work fine. So I wonder if that's why it moved, now that I think about it. There was that one that we did a tutorial where the design moved, and I had never seen that before. Anyway, so this one is done, but like I said, these would since we haven't done a color sort yet, when we do a color sort, it would join. So what I'm going to do is something a little bit different. I've done it before, but it's a different technique. I clicked down below and highlight up so that I have all of these designs, and I'm going to say Control C to copy, and I'm going to go to File, New Page, and it creates a new tab, and I'm going to say Control V. Why didn't that work? Oh, there it goes. Okay, Control V like victory to paste. And then I have all 5 of these designs. All right, and you'll see what I'm going to do here. I've done it before, don't worry. So if I go back to Untitled 1, we're just going to leave Untitled 2 as it is. And I'm going to go to Untitled 1, and I'm going to click on this 5th design, and I'm going to delete it because we have it in that Untitled 2 tab up here. But then I can do my color sort, and it should align everything up. I'll show you. So I have just the 4 quilting designs. So I'm going to go to Utility Color Sort, and we currently have 20 color steps right here, and it says it's reduced it by 12. Don't forget that you want these unchecked and you want tolerance at 0, and then click New View. It will create a 3rd tab. New View, there's our 3rd tab, and then let's just quickly check, make sure it did what we think it should do. So we have our placement for our batting, our tack down for our batting, our placement for our main fabric, our tack down of our main fabric, and then each of the quilting designs. Notice that they're out of order because we did it that way. And that will be fine because we're going to put all of our fabrics down at the same time, and none of them are the same. So we're not going to make a mistake and put the wrong fabrics with the wrong quilting. So that worked out perfectly, absolutely perfect. We have 8 color steps now. How easy is that? All right, but we want to bring in that red, white, and bloom block. So we're going to go back to Untitled 2. Now notice I am going to click from the right hand side here, and I'm going to drag down so that I have the 4 quilting designs, and I'm going to click delete. All right, so now I just have the embroidery design, and it should stay lined up exactly where we needed it, because remember we did that align and distribute so that we know that it's lined up exactly with that first quilting design. But now we only have this embroidery design. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say Control C to copy, and I'm going to go back to Untitled 2. Make sure that you're in Untitled 2. Oh, wait, let me think. Untitled 2. Sorry, my mistake. Untitled 2 is our red, white, and bloom. We're going to go to Untitled 3, the one that has already been color sorted. And you can see down here at the bottom to make sure you're on the right one, because Untitled 1 is that one that has the 4 designs and it's got the 20 color steps. Untitled 2 is our embroidery design. And then Untitled 3 is the one that we already did a color sort, and there's only 8 color steps. So from here, if we hit Control V like victory to paste, then it goes right back, and you can see it is lined up perfectly. We didn't have to sit there and move it around and try to find where it should be exactly. That worked out perfectly. And so we have our 4, let me just close this so we can see them all. This is our 4 quilting designs that are all merged into one now, and they're already all color sorted and perfect. Those are all done. And then on top of that, we will have our embroidery design. And we do want the embroidery design on top of our quilting. So this is exactly perfect. And that was really easy to do. All right, and then we don't have to worry about all of these defaults that we would have to change all these colors, because we've already done our color sort. So we're going to do all of our quilting, and then we'll come back and the last step will be doing this embroidery design. So it worked out perfectly. We have 23 color steps. 8 of them are our quilting, and then the rest are that embroidery design on top of our first quilting. So this is perfect. So make sure to do a file, save stitch file as. And I'm in So Happy because that's what I worked on last. So I'm going to find on my desktop my red, white, and bloom right there. And I'm going to put this in, let's see, I'm going to put it in my embroidery files. You can put it wherever you want it. I'm going to name this red, white, bloom. I'm going to say fillers 3, because we're on section 3 of the fillers, and red, white, and bloom block. You don't want it too long, because that can cause errors. If you make the name of your file too long, it can cause a problem. So I'm just saying whatever will make you remember what this is for you. So for me, this is fillers 3, red, white, bloom block. If I just did red, white, and bloom, then I would think it's just the fillers. But since this is that block, I added the word block. And I'm going to say save. All right, and then you would transfer it to your USB stick for your machine, or transfer it wirelessly to your machine. And we're all ready to get started. And my shirt today is a kind word is like a spring day. This is a Designs by Juju design, and it's a really cute design. It's funny though. Spring in Idaho is odd. It's like super windy here. It's supposed to snow again. It's the middle of April, even a little past the middle of April, and we might be getting more snow. So it doesn't feel very spring to me. Spring in California was very different. Like we were already out laying out in the sun in spring. So it's definitely odd here. And I went for a bike ride. So it was crazy windy, and thankfully that it was a group ride, so I was with all these other people. So actually I'll talk about the goal too, spring right in from shirt to goal. So what is your goal? How are you doing with your goal? Mine is building strength, and I actually didn't want to go for a bike ride out with the group at all. I was feeling very hermit, wanting to just stay home. And so I made myself go, and it was so great to see all of my friends that I haven't seen. All of my cycling friends, we don't get out that much during the winter, you know, here in Idaho. And so it was really good, but super windy. Like I think it was 15 to 25 mile an hour winds with gusts up to 40 miles an hour. How crazy is that? Especially as a cyclist with aero wheels, those big thick wheels that a gust of wind comes under there and you could just go whoochoo. It's just not a good thing. So anyway, it was really good to get out and see my friends. I'll add pictures of that. It was really, really fun. Had a great time, but this spring weather here is just so weird, so weird. I mean, if there were 40 mile an hour winds in California, we wouldn't be going for a bike ride. And here, their attitude is like, well, if you don't go out when it's windy, then you don't get to go out for all of spring, because that's what it's like here in Idaho. So I'm trying to adapt, but it's very different for sure. But anyway, so really, really fun, really good to see my friends, and that was really good to get an outdoor workout. That was my first group ride of the year, so that was really good. So what are you doing with your goal? Are you pushing yourself when you want to be a hermit and stay inside? You know, it's really important to push yourself and get out with people and make arrangements with people. And when people invite you to stuff, make sure to say yes when you're able to. It's good, especially if you've been inside all winter. You can get into that mindset where you're just this loner, and that's really not good. We need people in our lives, right? We've got these wonderful embroidery people, and thank God for that. Oh my goodness, thank God. Like seriously, I don't know if I could have handled 7 months indoor if it weren't for all of you joining me for these group projects. We have so much fun together, and I feel so blessed. So what did you do for your goal today? Share in the comments.